Hello, I'm Michael Chusid. I'm here to speak to you as part of the GlassCon VE program. I'm speaking today from Los Angeles, California, where it is a very hot day. Our topic today is closers for glass doors, particularly focusing on some new developments, including closer hinges. So sit back, relax, and I hope we learned something together. I mentioned the speed of closure, and on the right we see a very primitive type of door closer. It's a weight on a cord run through a pulley attached to the door. This type of closer is as dependable as gravity. But consider what will happen. We all know that a falling object accelerates as it falls. So this door, if it's got enough weight, the counterweight to close the door, is probably going to pick up speed and will probably result in the door slamming, which will make noise, could potentially injure somebody, and so the challenge of modern door closers are to have the dependability of this but with controlled. There are several types of door closers, and we're going to look at them and discuss some of their merits and demerits. A door closer is not as simple a thing as you might think, and I really urge you to get a consultation with a qualified door consultant or contact a door closer manufacturer to make sure you're picking an appropriate product, and you see the wide range of considerations that may come into effect. Let's talk about overhead closers. These are by far the most commonly used type of door closer. They're mounted at the top of the door with one end on the door and the other end of these arms on the door frame. And they're available in many, many combinations with many different types of options and adjustabilities. And they're also available for fire-rated doors, yet they do have some problems. The first one is maintenance and damage. Most of these overhead closers have a reservoir of hydraulic fluid. Should that hydraulic fluid start leaking out of the door, you could be in a condition where the door would slam shut uncontrollably, potentially causing a problem. The leaking oil can also cause damage, could stain things below, or could create a puddle that someone could slip on. They do need ongoing maintenance. The frame, not so much in aluminum doors and frames, but in other types of doors and frames, you may have to put in reinforcing plates to securely mount the closers. In fact, in this picture, you see a cover plate for the closer mechanism, but behind it is a drop plate to create a secure mounting place for the closer, because there's a lot of force applied to these. There's also the potential for vandalism or damage with these products because they do protrude into the space. They're attractive for people who are looking to do damage, to hold on to them, to pull them, sometimes to hang things from them. They can bump into things inadvertently. And if you are dealing with a limited space condition, the arms have to be selected very carefully so that the door can operate. This could be a condition, for example, if you have, say, for example, a bifold closet door immediately adjacent to an entrance door. You have the situation in many hotel rooms. When the bifold door is in the open position, it could interfere with the operation of the overhead closer. Another concern is that there are many parts for these products. I had one door closer by a leading manufacturer, and there were 47 different pieces that had to be handled and installed, and in many cases they required drilling to position them. Yet, as I say, this is a darn good type of closer and an important category. I'll also talk about in-floor closers, which have the huge asset of not being immediately visible. They are visible on the floor level, but when you look straight ahead, they aren't in the field of vision, and this is often satisfactory to many people. But they are costly in that you have to build a recess into the floor, which means that it's not feasible to use them in all types of floor conditions. It does create a recess that can trap dirt and liquid, which can lead to corrosion. And replacing them comes at a rather high maintenance cost if it requires chipping out damaged components or altering the size of the recess. A step up is a closer that's concealed within either the top rail of a door or in the head of a door frame, or in some cases there are also products that conceal in the stiles and vertical members of the frame. And they are concealed, so they're gorgeous. They're also, because they're concealed, have some abuse resistance. There's nothing to grab onto when they're closed. But it does require a special preparation of the door frame and the door, and that means they're not suited for any retrofit applications. Patch plates are useful if you're doing an all-glass installation. One concern I've had raised is that the component that mounts on the floor, that holds the floor pivot, does become a potential cleaning hazard. And that brings us to closer hinges, which I said was going to be one of the deep dives in this program. Now, Builder Hardware Manufacturers Association calls the closer hinge a spring hinge, and indeed they are a spring hinge. But the device on the left is a spring hinge, and sometimes they even have some adjustability, but there's such a difference in the modern closer hinge that I feel it deserves a different type of name, that they have multiple adjustments to control the tension on opening, the speed of closing. Sometimes they have options like hold opens. Sometimes they have hydraulic devices built into them to further control the operation. And they are available in many configurations and rated heavy duty by the BHMA criteria. They're available both for framed glass doors, where they use a standard BHMA template, or for all glass doors where they use compression seals, sort of like a patch plate. But unlike a patch plate, it doesn't require anything on the floor level. And sometimes this is a preferred approach. They are adjustable. Some of them have two adjustments, one at the top to adjust the speed of closing, the other at the bottom to adjust the tension required to open the door. And I said that this is important because if a door closes too fast, it can knock somebody over, or in this unfortunate situation, a closer that leaked and no longer was operable slammed shut and caught this person's arm. Fortunately, the arm was saved, but it does point out that we really have to make sure that any closer is maintained and tested and has the required durability. Where are some of the locations where you might want to use a closer hinge instead of some of the other options? An arched door or a door with a non-flat head is an obvious choice, because while you could get a special drop plate to mount an overhead closer, it would be arduous and unattractive. And a floor plate, of course, is also a consideration, but this is an elegant solution for the arched door. Similarly, gates, which do not have a header rail to attach a closer to, is an obvious solution. And indeed, spring hinges of various sorts have been widely used over the years in these applications. Now, I don't think this gate really required 3 closer hinges, but 2 would, I'm sure, have sufficed. I want to point out that it's possible that the closer hinges are sold as an engineered set, by which I mean not each of these may have different functionalities. One, for example, may have the hold open capability and the others don't. So they should be specified and installed as a set for the application at hand. Clean architectural lines is an important reason for using the products. There's nothing to interfere with the sight lines, and architects, interior designers, and even many lay people like that. We're all used to hinges on our doors, so using a closer hinge will have a more familiar appearance in a residential setting or a setting like a hotel room where you want people to feel at home. Now, the barrel on these closer hinges are a little bit bigger than normal butt hinges, but if you select the appropriate color and finish, it won't be that obvious. The one on picture on the right showing stainless steel obviously is visible. It could have been produced with a black finish on it, and it would be all but invisible. In fact, the invisibility is an important reason for these. I like to think of closer hinges as a type of concealed closer. Another great place for closer hinges is in retrofit situations. A door that was previously on normal hinges, since it matches the BHMA templates, you take off one of the hinges, you can leave the door in place, you replace them one at a time. Here, they needed a little bit of modification to probably clean out some old paint to make sure the new hinge fit, but usually you can use the same holes in the jamb for attaching the hinges, and that makes it very quick to do a retrofit. And the hold open capability is very useful. You can always add a hold open device, but it adds to the visual clutter, adds to the cost. And here the door is kept at a nice 90 degrees. I do want to point out that you have to be careful about the closer hinge you get. Some of them are limited in the amount that they open. If you need a door to open a full 180 degrees, you should contact the manufacturer and make sure it will work. But if you're opening a door 90 degrees or 120 degrees, you should be fine. We are blessed by having many different types of door closers to choose from. So if one type doesn't work, find one that does. Well, thank you for bearing with me. I hope this has broadened your understanding of door closers and given you new appreciations for how you can solve problems in your work. And thank you for your attendance.